Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, the Star Trek podcast. Cast.
It's echoey in here.
Yeah, what's going on?
Very empty.
My name is Caitlin, and joining me today are...
I'm Jake.
Chris.
And Ames. Good to see you, Jake.
Yeah, Jake, how are you doing?
James is here too.
Oh no,
Oh
does that
my
mean
God.
Shut up, James.
you're...
No one cares you're here.
And apparently Renee Aubergine was here also.
Oh.
Alright, that was also pretty good. Fine.
Our surrogate Jake can stay.
But our actual Jake is...
Our actual Jake is feverish and hallucinating upstairs. He'll be fine.
Oh, I mean, let's say what it really is. He was on the shitter for so long, he formed a vacuum seal and can't get off.
No, that was me earlier today, and that's why I was late picking Chris up.
I hope that's true.
We all wish Jake the best.
We had to crowbar me off it. It's true. No, I just felt really not well. So it was
man.
Good. It was good.
It's a bad time for feeling right now.
Yeah.
It's all the coronavirus, which
oh god,
I'm sure has killed everyone by the time that this episode goes live.
Except for Chris. Chris is the one person left alive.
Chris
He's
is Madagascar.
Still editing our stupid podcast
Put
while
it
the
up for
world
no one to
collapses
hear.
around him. Anyway, so we have no Jake, but we do have a James. Yay, James!
Hello.
And anyway, so we're here to talk. It's episode 163.
Oh, hot
Woo!
damn.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about two, I almost said TNG, but no, TNG 2 DS9 episodes, Shadowplay and Playing God.
A lot of
or as I
playing.
said, Shadowplaying God.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a portmanteau.
I have 10 portmanteaus. First is Shadowplay. God, way too much shit happened in this episode. We find out that Odo is a virgin.
Don't virgin shame Odo.
I'm
I
not.
totally missed that.
I didn't say he was. I said, did I say fucking loser? I just said Odo's a virgin.
Okay. James thinks Odo's a loser.
No, never.
So yeah, Odo's a virgin. Jake doesn't want to be in Starfleet. O'Brien was a disappointment to his parents, too.
And Keiko.
Well, we knew that already. Quark may or may not be up to some naughty business, but...
may or may not. That's
he always
too
is.
Vague.
But Odo and Dax are going to, I don't know, investigate some bullshit, and they get captured by the gent who plays Inspector Kemp. Inspector Gadget? Captured by Inspector Gadget.
Who's Inspector Kemp?
From Young Frankenstein. Have you ever seen it?
I have. I don't
He's
know who
footsteps.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah, he's the one who's like, he's like the German, or Transylvanian, I guess.
This was the guy that played Coleus?
He was the guy that played the, I can't remember their names, but
Rurigan?
the inspector. So not the old man, the guy that has them at gunpoint briefly.
Coleus.
Okay,
Coleus.
He was also, have you seen The Producers more recently? The
No,
original? Okay.
I've never seen
Who's
either
who
of
is
the
he in
producers.
that? He's the Nazi?
He's the Nazi that actually writes Springtime.
I've only seen the Curb Your Enthusiasm of the producers.
Sadly, I think he's probably dead by then. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, I think anyway. But yes, Kenneth Mars. I was very excited.
So he's captured, and turns out there's lots of people disappearing in this little village. They first, I think, sort of think maybe like Odo and Dax are doing it, but obviously not. And they discover that there's nobody in the village has ever gone anywhere except for the village. And so they go to check out the outskirts of town, and what do you know? Some of the stuff that they brought from the village disappears when they cross a certain threshold, and
including part of a little girl.
And a little girl who's with them. Also, her arm disappears, but it comes back when she pulls it back, so she's cool. But the reason why that happens, as it turns out, is that the whole village is holograms.
Oh, no.
They're all holograms.
How do they take this news?
Surprisingly well.
I know.
All right, well, we'll just have to learn to live as holograms. What the fuck?
I wrote down that line. It's fucking hilarious.
It's great. And
they're so gung-ho about being holograms.
Holograms.
Yeah.
They pronounce it strange.
They did.
It's true. Well, they're holograms. They don't know.
Holograms.
It's difficult for them. They probably never heard of a hologram until this time because they were just like, all right, let's just leave out this information so they're never suspicious. Turns out that this whole hologram village was made by, is it Rurigan?
Yep.
And he did it because he lost his home to the Dominion.
Bum bum bum.
Yeah,
We've heard of them.
those Dominion.
Yeah.
We've heard of them. And at first, they're trying to reset it to fix it so that they get the lost people back.
Forget it.
Yes. And he's just like, just fuck it. I'm a stupid old man.
I'm dying anyway.
And Odo's like, oh, you care about the people? And they ultimately decide to reset it, and it works, and all the missing people are back, and everybody's happy. Except for Kira, who's back home, about to get totally fucking plowed by,
Brio.
Thank you,
Her boyfriend.
what is it? Is it Bariah?
Bariah.
Brio.
Brile.
Father went a ways.
Yeah, no, I can't remember what his name is. Brile. So she's about to bump uglies with Brile after they played some. I wrote down the name of the game.
Spring
it was
Ball.
like Spring
Spring,
Ball.
yeah.
There's lots of blank ball games in this series. We did
Racquetball.
racquetball and baseball and
I like that. These ball, they're all going to be fictional, and the first two your list are both real.
no, but I'm just saying that there's an obsession with balls in this game or this show is all I'm saying. Anyway, blue balls. That's next week. Next week is blue balls. But anyway, yes, so she cock blocks herself with Brielle because she realizes that it's all too suspicious and too convenient that he just happens to be on the space station while Quark is trying to make crime with his cousin.
Well, he was specifically invited to give the speech by a guy that owed Quark money. That's what tips her off.
Well, whatever. Anyway, so she's like, it's been really nice making out with you. Bye. And she doesn't even catch him in the act. They've already gotten away with what they were doing, I think, basically.
And she didn't even get the D.
I know, she got no D. Well, that's her own fault. I would have just been like, listen, Odo never needs to know.
Yeah, a couple too many plots in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
This episode and the next one when we talk about it, so Star Trek usually does the A, B, sometimes C plot structure, where there's the main plot, there'll be a side plot, and then there might be a tertiary tiny thing.
Yeah, something to add a little extra time.
These two episodes, they're almost all on equal footing. So there's just
Disagree.
six C plots going on.
No, next the second episode there's 1.25 plots and neither of them are interesting.
Yeah.
If they had spread out some of these extra plots to the second episode, they might have saved it from being such shit.
Totally could have jettisoned the C plot from this episode.
Is that the Jake Sisko
Which one?
doesn't want to go to Starfleet?
Because that's one that they spend the least time on, so I consider that the C plot.
And there's barely an arc. It's, hey, go work with O'Brien. We need new engineers because O'Brien's the only fucking one. Thanks, Jake. And then he's like, but I don't want to actually be in Starfleet, which he has a revelation with O'Brien, because that's O'Brien's job too. Well, helping other characters have revelations.
Well, you know why? Because Jake's like, I don't want to be O'Brien when I grow up.
Bad example, man.
I do love, though, that, Jake, we discussed this before, Jake is a nice counterpoint to Wesley in that he's normal.
Yes.
But he's also not a fucking idiot. Except in this
He's
episode...
also very nice.
Yeah.
He's a nice boy.
He's a good boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's dating a Dabo girl, which is a little weird, but okay.
That's this episode? When does that come up?
That's next episode. Or maybe later.
Fine. Okay, sorry. It has 1.33 plots because
It's
we
got
get...
several plots.
But,
It doesn't. Next
so...
episode has one plot.
But normally Jake isn't stupid, he's just normal. But I found it funny that he's having trouble remembering what 4 different colors stood for. It's like, white's this, blue's that. I can't get it! It's
Just
like,
write it
just
down.
he
You
just-
don't need to memorize it. Just write it down.
That's true.
just
Or
doesn't
ask
really
the
care.
computer.
Are there just no more paper? Is there no more paper in the future?
Nope.
Well,
No,
whatever.
there's only
Fucking
pads.
write it down on your fucking iPad 304X. Jake.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about it being a counterpoint to Wesley is this was concurrent with TNG this episode, and I think that was around the time when Wesley was big into the Starfleet stuff, the Academy and things.
I'm
think.
pretty sure Wesley was gone
Maybe?
by now.
Yeah.
Well, if anything, this may have been around season 7 when he does his whole helping,
Indigenous people.
thing.
Oh,
yeah.
possibly.
His vision quest.
Yes. But yeah, that I feel was this, you could have cut this, we would have been fine.
Yeah.
Kind of would have been nice to maybe actually have that be like a proper B plot somewhere. And the C plots, whenever there's a C plot, it's almost always like...
It's like an afterthought.
Yeah.
It's like there's not actually an arc. There's just a one thing that has to happen, and that's all that happens.
It's like you said, it feels like what happens is they make an episode and you're like, fuck, we are like exactly 3 minutes short. Come up with a C plot.
Or, we have a great Odo and... Who was he with? Dax? Odo and Dax doing a thing. We have a great Kira banging Bareil. We have all these other characters in the show we need to do something with.
Yeah.
We need Cisco to have a moment with his son. We have Miles have a moment with Cisco's son.
The only person who's willing to talk with him at the time.
Quark have a moment with Cisco's son. And everyone's going to talk to Cisco's son today. Because we don't have anything to do with these fucking characters.
Did Quark actually talk to
No.
Jake? I was going to say, I don't remember that.
I'm joking. I'm hilarious.
You are hilarious.
I'm also very feverish, so that's great.
Dude, what the fuck? Why are you sitting near me?
I keep licking your beverage. I'm sorry.
Stop.
So I think the Jake thing, like the Jake conversation stuff, we're probably good on. We can talk about the other points. But one thing that was cool that a little detail I enjoyed is when Miles was talking about his father. It was like, this is something my dad said. He like threw in like a much heavier accent.
This is something my dad said. Miles, you're a fucking disappointment.
I actually have a note on that, and I was kind of wondering if maybe it'd be funny if Cole Meany was actually impersonating his own father or something.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Everybody's got a voice for their dad.
But look,
I'm Jake's dad.
I like that James declares a thing over, but is like, but let me get the last word in. You know what? I'd like to talk more about it because, as Chris pointed out earlier, O'Brien talks about playing the cello, and that's cool because we saw him play the cello that one time.
Oh, that's true.
Back on TNG. So that is all Chris. I had nothing to do with that. But I just wanted to have one more point because, James, you're not the fucking boss of me.
Well, anyway, the point that I know, like, the writer... James, shut up.
Wow, he's a good Jake. Listen to him.
Yeah, he talks over me all the goddamn time. No, the theme that the writer Robert Hewitt Wolf liked to stress is saying, oh yeah, all 3 various plots, or however many plots are in this goddamn
83.
thing. 15 plots. They're all themed around stories about the unreality of appearances. To which I say, that's a fucking stretch, Robbie.
Yes,
Jesus.
it is.
Yeah.
Oh, but you'd think Cisco would, or Jake would really want to be part of Starfleet, but that's only an appearance. It's not the reality.
It's not an appearance.
I was never under that impression.
I was going to say, I actually thought we already knew that he didn't want to be in Starfleet, which is why I was like, oh no.
He's never shown any interest at all. He's just shown interest in being a boy.
And teaching Dabo girls about...
How to love, yeah.
Yeah, but I was thinking about etymology or
You're
whatever
usually
the fuck.
thinking about entomology.
Entomology, yeah, that's true. Bugs on the brain always.
B plot or A plot now?
Let's go B plot and work our way to the A plot. Because
Which
the A plot, the A plot I think is kind of interesting. So let's cross off the B plot while we're here.
So, I'm assuming that the B plot is the not getting the D plot?
Yeah. That's great.
I did like, that with Odo out of town, Kira sort of defaults to, I'll be the one to harass Quark. That seems fairly logical. Mm-hmm. Aside from that,
Yeah, there wasn't a ton that happened in this plot. There wasn't an actual arc or anything interesting. It was just, let's see if Kira figures out why Bareil's here. Oh, she did.
Let's see if...
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna, like, it's like, nothing really happened. It was just, like, Kira gets distracted by a pretty face. Well, and then...
And thank God that his sweet talk game is shit. Because he's like, thank God. Thank God what's his name told me that you were going to be here.
Did you
I was especially invited by so-and-so.
Yeah, did you know that he is a debt to Quark?
It's like, what kind of talk? I'm like, I'm getting wet. Stop, Bareil. Whatever the name is. What's his name? Bareil. That's a fucking dumb name, man.
What it was is Kira goes like, I'll have to thank this guy specially for inviting you. And then he says, he's going to move to Bajor. He fancies himself a Dabo player. And she went, wait a minute, what?
Oh, what now?
No, it's happening just like Caitlin said.
It was nice to see Bareil written, because I know I'd complained previously that I felt like maybe his actor was a bit bland. I mean, that's how he's being written. It's like, we'll see if he's ever written not... And yes, when he's written not bland, he actually does seem to have a personality. So, good on the actor. I retract anything bad I said about him previously.
You thought he had a personality?
I thought he was pretty bland.
And he had more personality than he has in all of his previous appearances.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
He seemed exactly the same to me in this episode.
Yeah.
Although what you would think, all this build up, and we didn't even get to fucking see Spring Ball. Like,
That's true.
what the fuck?
I did like Kira's little outfit.
That's what you could have done. You know what? Instead of having this whole pointless C plot, we could have seen some Spring Ball.
Yeah, but then they would have had to have invented Spring Ball, which I assume is just like tennis, but you're on those moon shoes.
Oh, I was going to say trampolines.
Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah, well, I mean, then you're either breaking your neck or an ankle, so
Yeah,
you know,
both.
Why not?
It's a very dangerous sport. It's a blood sport.
It's like Parisi Squares.
Parisi Squares really just sounds like it should be a board game. So every time
does.
I remember that it's like this hyper-violent thing, I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense. It sounds like it's Go or something.
The Cones of Dunsha.
So is that everything we have about that?
It's everything.
About the B, no D plot?
I thought it was kind of cute that Quark just happened to, like, understand that Kira wanted to
That's true.
bang this dude.
He is a bit more shrewd.
Dude, he's
than you might
really
give him
good
credit
at
for.
knowing people's shit.
Oh yeah, he trades in secrets or some shit.
Right, yeah, it was just kind of, I don't know, it was just kind of surprising, and like, and also it was kind of like, for a distraction, that's actually a pretty nice way to go about
Yeah,
it,
no,
really,
it was-
like, you know, it's like, I'll bring someone you like on board, how about that, instead of being
I
like,
mean,
I'll
even
blow
if-
up part of the ship, and you'll be
even-
real busy.
Even if it's because they invited him to like give a speech on the prophets or some bullshit, because that's what they do. All they do is talk about the prophets. He knows Kira would want to go see that. So even if she's not there hooking up with the guy
Yeah.
after the speech, he knows she's gonna go watch this fucking speech. While she's there, I can hang out with my cousin Kono and do this thing.
It's funny, too, you know, you almost feel like it should have been a different crime than what it was. Because it was, like, artifacts stolen from a Cardassian museum. And you feel like maybe that's the one time Kira would have been like, good! Fuck them! Probably stolen Bajoran artifacts anyway. Jerks.
Yeah, really. The one thing that I thought was stupid was they sent Bashir to spy on Quark, but as far as I can tell, we never followed up on
Yeah, there was
that.
no... That's
No,
right.
we
Oh, that's
didn't.
right.
That was the abandoned D plot.
See? Look what happens when I make notes.
That's great. No, I had this.
That would have been better than the C
Yeah,
plot.
because
we got.
they say he's even gotten some tips from Garrick on how to
Yeah.
be a better spy, which is adorable.
But he's not. He's definitely not a spy, right?
Julian was so excited to be a spy. I love how boyish he is every time there's like something like mysterious going on. He's like,
Yeah.
I could find out, I could do this, and he's like the most obvious spy in the room.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
because
No, he is terrible.
if Racquetball hadn't panned out and then being a doctor hadn't panned out, he was really hoping to be up for Bond 365
Yeah.
in 24.
It's 2360s at this point?
Listen.
Early 2370s, maybe?
I was in the right century. No, I
No,
wasn't.
you weren't.
Wow, nope. I was in the right millennia.
There you go.
Yeah, I was. 20.
Oh,
I said-
millennia, yes.
Yeah, see?
But right now we're in the right millennia, so...
So tomorrow.
So yeah, that...
He's the natural follow-up to Daniel Craig, who they just keep reanimating and keep tricking him into one more film. I don't know if I want to do another one. We'll give you a big truckload of money. That's what you did last time, find 2 truckloads.
So, A plot.
A plot.
And what a plot!
I thought the idea was great. I thought
Yep.
a lot of the acting was garbage.
Yeah, too much child.
Did you recognize the child?
No.
Oh my goodness, that was Noli Thornton, who played Clara Sutter from Imaginary Friend.
I was gonna say, was that
She was
Data's buddy?
Data's buddy.
No?
She was the little red-haired girl who had an imaginary friend.
Oh, I thought.
No, that was
well,
Pen Pals.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
Oh, that
fine.
was Sarjenka.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
With her creepy fingers.
I liked her.
Ah, yes, I did
hated
not.
this girl.
Yeah, no, that was a terrible episode.
She did look familiar, so that explains it.
Yeah, that was her. She's the same. She looks and acts the same.
I just appreciated that there was an entire society of sleepy pajama wearing
Yeah.
Ebenezer Scrooges.
Well, also with all the beads, just to...
You're right.
They all
Yeah, and
look
at
like
first-
Ebenezer Scrooge.
And at first I thought they just had like really weird beady dreadlocks and I was offended by it. And then I was like, no, wait a minute. It's like they literally took their bead curtains and just threw them under their hats.
It's Planet Mardi Gras!
Show us your tits, love.
Yeah, those costumes were... I can't tell if they were the worst thing ever or absolutely delightful.
Did you like the little dinosaur horns that all the women had?
No, I wasn't keen on
The
those.
what? How did I not notice the whole?
It's like their hair. They had like
I thought you meant actual horns. No, they had
like
they were triceratops,
they had
and I
these
missed
spikes
it.
in their hair that looked like the club on an ankylosaurus.
I love it. I'm sad I missed it.
Yeah, no, that was a bit. Yeah.
It sounds like their hairdos looked like anime meat.
I really don't get the the uniform haircut thing.
True.
It's just like, why Star Trek?
Because it's easier. Like, you have to design something unique and different, and
when you have to have a crowd scene, it's good to have everyone's just going to look like this instead of having to come up with different things for everyone.
The hairdresser can just can assembly line it basically,
and you can just have one stunt person. Yeah. One wig for one stunt person, and it's easier to just stick people in. Yeah. You know?
Like, it's one of those stunts in this?
No, I don't know.
It's one of those things where I
don't think so.
Like, when they're going up, when they're dealing with, say, aliens on an alien ship, you just write it off as standard issue military haircut, whatever. Standard
issue. Maybe the old man just really wasn't big. Was not big on aesthetics. Yeah. And was just like, oh, my ex-wife had this haircut. Everybody has this haircut now.
He did make everyone look like sleepy Ebenezer Scrooges. Yes. So I think he was maybe
a big Dickens fan.
Yeah. He was probably a little better at programming personalities than he was at programming clothing.
Yeah, he's like, everyone just dressed like me.
I mean, I'd be the same. I wouldn't be. I'd be like,
too much programming to do. Fuck it.
It is definitely though the ultimate old man outfit. It does look, aside from all the beads, very comfortable. Mm-hmm. You can just I can sleep in this. I can go to town in it. It's perfect.
Oh, he probably hasn't bathed in 6 months. Who's gonna complain? Holograms.
That's the thing. Nope. If you look at his his is, and this is maybe an early clue. His is the only outfit that isn't the exact same color as everyone else's. His actually looks a bit lived in. It's kind of
interesting,
off white, whereas everyone else's is a
He's
different.
Been sweat staining it for 50 years.
Kind of.
Ew.
It's almost kind of yellowy in some areas.
I already didn't like him, and I'd like him even less now.
We're really, really lucky that his clothes weren't holograms.
Oh,
that would have been really funny.
The Emperor's new clothes.
That would have been so funny.
No. God damn it.
Because everything else went away. The houses went away.
I gotta admit, I half worked this one out. I was like, there was a colony, but something went wrong and everybody but the old man died. So I was expecting, like you said, for the people to just vanish. But then when everything did, I was like,
surely he has a real house at least, right?
Apparently not. Everything was gone.
He didn't build a house. What the fuck is
but what the fuck is the weather like there? Has he actually got shelter? Or no?
Well, I mean, it's a hologram house.
What's he eating? Hologram food?
Hologram food.
But is there, real rain that's going through the hologram
Well, it's
house?
a solid hologram, on the holo deck.
Oh, I guess it's just a big holo deck. Oh, actually, no, that's what the fuck? Insurrection, wasn't it? Where they sort of made the village out of a holodeck?
Yep.
So, I never saw it coming, but I developed a bunch of, stupid theories while it was going on. At first I was like, why does Odo want to ask this kid so many questions? Oh my god, the kid murdered them all. And then, that's great. And then she was saying, they were asking about her mom, and she was like, I don't know, she's not disappeared. And did she go places? And I'm like, oh my god, is her mom having an affair? Okay, so she didn't kill them, but her mom's sleeping around, right? Nope, because that's not
sci-fi.
True. Yeah, totally. Well, I don't know, whatever. And then the next note I wrote about this particular thing was, what the fuck, you crazy old man? With a question mark and an exclamation point, which I believe is called an interrobang. Mm-hmm. And I felt really bad for Odo. I thought...
Because he had to talk to a child?
Yeah, especially. No, but then, at the end, she's like, your face isn't so bad. Aww. And it reminded me of, at the end of The Grinch, when Cindy Lou Who's like, your face is so... And he's like, hairy, smelly. And she's like, no, warm. It felt like that. And then he finds out she isn't real, and she finds out that the guy is just like, fuck it, we'll just delete them all. And Odo is like, no, you have to bring them back. There's one person that thought my lack of doing faces while was charming. Oh, don't you dare give up on these fucking people. They treated me like everyone else. Anyway, but I think that was just Odo's anger about not getting laid. I think that was just him being like, you're right, I haven't lady time.
Apparently
No.
the Bolian that runs the Jumja stand has a thing for him.
Yeah, women don't
Hot.
react to me that way, or whatever he said. And
Now
I was
here's
like,
my-
we do. We
Yeah.
got 2 women right here who are reacting very strongly to you, sir.
Here's my question,
No?
though.
Odo?
Odo's not my type.
Oh, no, really? I'd bang him. Are we finally disagreeing on the
You
bangable,
can, you can
a
have
bangable
you
man?
can have Odo. I'll take Quark and Ducat.
Oh, you can totally have Ducat. We might have to share Quark.
Okay,
Especially after next week's episode.
Quark.
But now, so the question here, now, has the Bolian woman always run the Jumja stand, or should she take it over from that racist Bajoran guy?
Well, I mean...
Because previously, when we saw the Jumja stand, there was some Bajoran guy. But, I mean, yeah, she could have employees.
Maybe he just works for her. Yeah.
That's what I mean, but...
Maybe it's her husband.
Yeah. I do...
I mean, if you were married to that asshole, you'd start thinking Odo was looking pretty good, too.
Although it did occur to me, at the end, you do actually briefly, in the end shot at Quark's bar, you do see a Bolian woman just sort of front and center, and it's like,
Oh, is that her? Do we
probably a coincidence, but I'm going to tell myself that's her.
think? Yeah. I mean, how many Bolians are on the station?
I think it's the first time they've shown one. They don't show Bolians that often, probably because their makeup's kind of a pain in the
I
ass.
don't think I even noticed. What's a Bolian again?
They're the blue people with the kind of stripe down the face.
Yeah, and they've got like sort of a... There's usually light banding on top of the head, too.
There was the barber in TNG.
Yes, Mott was a Bolian.
Oh, okay, thank
Yeah.
you. That I know that one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was about to Google it, but then I was going to be like, how do you spell Bolian?
Getting back to Odo
Yes.
having trouble with faces, as he claims he does. Rene Aubergenois has justified, because, I guess they never gave him a good reason why Odo is bad at making a fucking human-looking face. And Rene Aubergenois has said that it's because there's no prototype of an Odo face that exists, and it's more about him trying to understand his identity. Because you say be a rat, he knows what a rat looks like. Rats look like this. Be a chair, this is what a chair looks like. Chair looks like this. Be an Odo. I have no idea what the fuck that is. I still don't understand myself. So I'm going to be a little bit partially formed.
That's a
I like
good
that a lot.
justification, yeah.
Yeah.
And it sort of shows the room for evolution and change and
There won't be, but
No, but it's there. I mean, it's there, Well, there won't be until someone draws something on his face while he's sleeping. He's like, "No." Big angry eyebrows. Why is everyone looking at me like that? He's just got Sharpie on his eye. But yeah, I'm glad that the dude decided to reboot his whole family. And I actually really liked that he was like, well, of course I love them. They don't really love me. And it's like, no, he created this thing 30 years ago or whatever. But the little girl, for example, had been born and was her own thing that existed outside of him. The idea that he didn't actually program this little girl.
yeah, it's like when your default sim family has its own generation, and then you start playing them, and you realize, oh wow, these are entirely created by the game.
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a really neat concept, and I like the idea a lot of just this entire town that is made up of things that are living their own lives and actually building up their own true history of things that they've done and interacted with each other. The episode doesn't really go into that stuff too much, except at the very, very end with Odo's big speech.
Yeah.
But it is
Odo's big speech came a little bit out of nowhere to me because I feel like he needed a little bit more foundation with. Maybe it's just that the little girl wasn't doing it for me because she was awful.
Yeah.
And
She
that
was
maybe if there
awful.
were other people he could be talking to about what it's like to be a person in an artificial world and all this stuff.
Right.
And for him to really see no, you should continue to be pseudo people. Because I don't see why Odo would think these people were people.
Well, I mean, he thinks of himself as a person, and he's kind of
That's true.
personality substrate.
It's a good
applied
parallel.
on a...
It's a very good parallel. I think needed an extra shove.
Yes.
Well, we find out in the next episode that he doesn't even step on ants. So, obviously his...
He roasts them with a magnifying glass.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You can't step on
But yeah,
ants.
I
It's not
inflict
effective.
maximum pain.
But yeah, the people of this town really were very apparently we're all programs.
I know.
Okay.
The line at the end, I took it down. The line was, we just have to get used to the fact that we're holograms.
Yeah, and that was Kemp.
What?
Kemp said that.
What?
Yeah.
You're okay with this? You're just so cool with this.
Because basically he's
Don't worry, everyone. Jadzia's gonna turn us all off. It'll be fine. What the actual fuck, guy?
Because he's already thinking wait a minute, I'm not real. He starts throwing himself off of roofs and doing all that crazy, just drinking constantly. But your liver, what liver? We're holograms.
It's a hologram liver. I'll just have him hologram me up a transplant.
I like
You seen my new schlong?
Yikes.
Put it away. There are children here, Inspector Kemp. Jesus Christ.
I like the scene where they had to prove, like, it's like, you're saying we're holograms, but I don't necessarily know if I believe you. And so they're like, oh, give me your cloak. And they like put it onto a chair. And then they make it disappear. And
My favorite
Yeah,
cloak!
he's not like, I am intangible and a program. He's like, I liked that cloak.
Identical to everyone else's cloak.
Is it partly just because their minds are so simple that they're not
It's
really
possible.
That's kind of what I thought, too.
quantifying this in their brains?
I figured, well, and I think they even kind of mentioned it later, where they're just kind of like, no, we never left the city, but we've never wanted to, so maybe that's just how we're programmed.
Yeah, they just...
Like, but it was a weird moment of reflection of a program being like, oh, maybe that's just how we're made.
It reminded me a little bit of... Was it not The Big Goodbye? Whatever one it was where Picard tells what's his name, Cyrus Redblock, I think, that he's fake, and they have to figure it out when he leaves the hologram and holodeck and disappears. Meanwhile, all the other characters in the holodeck are like, "Oh my God, we're not real."
Well, there's actually only one.
Oh dear God, we're not real.
The two criminals and like Dixon's friend find out, and the criminals just walk off and vanish.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's left for that one guy who's just like, wait, what?
What is my life? I don't have one. Does my wife exist? Do I still have a wife?
What about my wife?
It's one of those weird topics that gets explored later in the show and then in Voyager, but like the whole hologram existence thing, and like there's some pretty wild implications because of that.
Janeway mixes herself up a fuck toy, right? At some point, and then there's
That's
lots
a
of
long
like...
time in the future.
No, I know, but I've seen part of that episode and was like,
But yeah, there's... I mean, it's sort of, it's basically, it's data, but made of hard light.
What?
An artificial intelligence.
Oh, okay. Not like the scenario.
Yeah. It's
No,
a question.
It reminds me a bit of
like that time
Survivors.
Data was shocked by the fact that he was an android.
God damn it. No,
Wait a
he'd taken
minute.
in stride.
But yes, I suppose these ones just aren't advanced enough to have an existential crisis,
No,
which,
what
that
were
must
you-
be nice.
What were you starting to say?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it
I
reminds me a
didn't mean to
little
cut you off.
of The Survivors, if you remember, with our friend Kevin Uxbridge? Uxbridge.
Oh,
I think Uxbridge, yeah.
Yeah, who was a people who made up his wife on this planet because she died once, and he was like, I'll let her live again as a fake thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, and it was the woman from Liar Liar, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he genocided the Hoosnock with a thought.
Yes. Fucking Kevin. Terrifying man.
It's such a... It's so... yeah, it's weird to find really normal names in the midst of all the weird Star Trek names.
There's KVIN with an apostrophe after the.
Well, that'd be if it was Star Wars.
No, that would be if he was Klingon.
Yeah.
Hey. So the original title of this episode was going to be Persistence of Vision, which is a title they use later in Voyager instead, because they are so bad at fucking titles. But the original thought would have been that Dax and O'Brien would go to this planet and be imprisoned in this virtual reality thing, and then they would escape, and then realize, oh no, we haven't actually escaped, we're still in a virtual reality thing, playing within a virtual reality thing. And when they finally get back to the ship, and Keiko is like, Miles, I'm so glad you're back! Which is obviously
Does he
not what
still...
happened.
I was going to say, does he still think it's fake
he'd
then?
be like,
because
I don't actually know if I'm back and I'll never know.
Oh,
Keiko is never this happy to see me.
I fucking hate plots like that. Those are so dumb.
Yeah, they went with this because they said, let's make a relationship thing instead. And
Yeah, that's
have,
a better...
Have
That's
Odo
way
and Odo have a talk with a little girl that he sees himself in and all this stuff.
I loved the conversation between Odo and the girl because, like, Odo would go over and be like, all right, I want to talk to you, little girl. And she'd be like, you've got a funny face. And then he unloads on her for, like, 10 minutes about, like, all of his trauma.
Well,
He's just been waiting for someone to actually talk to him.
Right.
Someone who isn't, like, fucking Quark and gonna judge him for it.
As a side note, this is totally why he never gets laid.
There is actually...
I find you very attractive. Well, it's funny you say that because I don't even know what I am or look like. I've been making myself look like what other people have told me.
Do you want me
for
to
a
be a
while.
razor cat? I'll be a razor cat. Okay.
There's a Rick and Morty where they're, captured and put in a virtual world.
Here we go.
But, it's very obvious because it's a bad virtual world. So, like, all the characters are exceptionally stupid. and it's obvious they're fake.
How can you tell when it's Rick and Morty?
Well, so the gag is that, like, it's Rick, Morty, and somehow the father is there. And the father has no idea anything's wrong and has, like, the best day of his life because everyone just thinks he's, like, on a hot streak. And meanwhile, the others are like, all right, we gotta break out of this. But yeah, I was to say this sort of thing where it was just immediately obviously everyone except the father because the holograms were just fucking dense.
Yeah.
They were nice holograms. They weren't dense.
Oh no, these ones were nice. I mean, in Rick and Morty, they were dense. In this, they're nice, but apparently don't have the ability to have an existential crisis, which that sounds nice.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
I'd
an improvement.
yeah, no, that's great.
I liked the story of the person who asked the changeling to become a loaf of bread.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And
Can
then
you
they
become a
ate-
loaf of grain bread? Oh, that's who it was. It was the mailman who, like, loved her grain bread or whatever. I was like, she's fucking that guy.
Oh god.
That's why I thought she was having... He likes my mom. He says she makes the best bread. And I was like, you dirty tart.
I thought Odo at the end should have turned into a piece of bread just for her, but he turned it at the top, and I was like, yeah, okay, I get the top thing. Would have preferred the bread thing.
No, because he didn't want to be gobbled up, Ames.
You shouldn't eat changelings.
Adorable.
She's a fucking dumb hologram. How does she know?
So was this is something I didn't go back to rewatch the episode, but I was a little surprised that Ebenezer, whatever his name is, talks about Rurigan talks about how the Dominion basically killed everyone he ever knew. And so he then tells all of the hologram people about like changelings and stuff, and like gives them this myth about them. Because like he designed everything, so when the girl's talking about like this changeling myth,
because they've mentioned before that changelings are sort of a known myth in the Gamma Quadrant.
Yeah.
So I mean, he probably just programmed everything he could about his culture into it.
Right.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
he uploaded Wikipedia.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's kind of like any open sandbox video game. Like, there's a whole lot of lore that's just built in that every so often maybe a character, like off to the side, some NPC will be like, "Hey, have you heard about the deep dark woods over there?"
Yeah,
because it's just something that they all just kind of know.
Okay.
Don't go in the deep dark woods over there.
All right.
So we're running a bit over. Should we?
Let me check if I had anything else. Little girl, your mommy left you because you were a mistake.
What? Why was that worth noting?
I wonder if I have anything else.
Is Coleus a worse actor than Taya?
Oh, poor Odo, the little girl who said you weren't scary is fake.
Oh no!
Oh, I wrote just one more thing because Odo definitely had a one. It's none of my business, but one more thing.
I loved at the beginning. So when they when Jadzia and Odo get captured, right? They're being interrogated like at gunpoint, and the guys
are you the ones that are involved?
Yeah,
in
it's
this?
like I think you might be behind these missing people, and Odo's like 22 missing people, and he gets wicked excited. Like, the second he finds out that there's a mystery going on in this town, he's, like, all in. Yeah. Like, he is so ready to go investigate. And, like...
I've been working on this one more thing move all week.
Like, up until that point, he was about ready to just peace out and leave. Yep. But then he finds out that there's a case. There's a case going on.
There's a doings transpiring.
I did think it was a little bit forced when he was like, I'm gonna, like, transport myself back to the ship. And then he does, and they're like, oh my god, he transported himself away. And Jadzia like, he's coming back, though.
He'll be back.
And then he's back, and he said, I told you so. What the fuck was that?
Also, knowing that they can do that, why would he believe the cloak trick? I would assume that they were just fucking with him. Honestly, in a way, that's almost a bad move.
That's true. I didn't think of that.
Almost a bad move. I thought of it earlier when we were talking about it, and I forgot to mention it, so I'm mentioning it now.
They could have just transported it up to their ship.
That's a really good point.
I mean, it was because Jadzia was playing with their gigantic gravitron machine. But yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, thankfully they're holograms and they don't think too hard about anything.
Yeah,
no, not even a little bit.
Maybe we're holograms. Did you think about that?
Beep.
Maybe we're all androids.
We might be holograms.
Well, if we are, I hope that I can take the knowledge with the grace that these people did.
Oh, yeah.
If we are, I want whoever's in charge of the program to make my hip feel better.
What's wrong with your hip?
It's hurt on and off since I was 17.
That's terrible.
It's all.
Chris has a herniated disc, you see.
So, playing God.
We should play God.
See, That episode should have been called Playing God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I don't remember. This one shouldn't be called Playing God, actually. 'Cause
No,
This one should be called
stupid piece of
Shadowplay.
shit. In Playing God, in the ill-named Playing God, Jadzia Dax has a buddy coming on board named Arjun, and he is a Trill dude who wants to have a symbiont, and she's going to test him to see whether or not he will be good to do the binding, whatever the fuck they call it. What do they call it? Joining. Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You helped me a lot. And this dude, Arjun, is like a fucking lick spittle. He's totally boring.
Milk
There's
toast.
nothing good about milk toast. That's much better. Thank you. He's sort of boring, but he's shitting his pants because Dax, or Curzon Dax, at least, was sort of renowned for crushing the dreams of would-be hosts. So he's really nervous. He studies up and all this stuff. And Jadzia is mostly just kind of like, you're fucking boring and I'm not Curzon. And we basically just watch him be completely ineffective the whole episode. And then in the last 5 minutes, they're like, oh no, on your trip to the Gamma Quadrant, you got some universe stuck to your ship. And you brought it through the wormhole. And Kira is like, let's just fucking destroy it. And they're like, what? And she says... And I quote, where is
I'm
it?
really into genocide.
It's like stepping on ants, Odo! I don't step on ants! So instead...
It's like killing all these Cardassian voles, Odo! Oh, I do kill
God,
those.
I forgot about the voles. That was this episode too,
These
wasn't
little
it?
ugly naked
Damn it.
Muppet things.
Yeah, that when they first show it, they fucking hand it to Arjun and just doesn't fucking move at all. I'm like,
They
really?
killed it.
You
No,
just
that one
did.
was stunned.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
stunned
fine.
it.
But what it really was outside of the budget to make it move at all.
Yes.
And I was bothered by it. So I forgot about the voles, and they asked the Cardassians, how do we take care of these fucking voles? And they're like, LOL, you figure it out, assholes. And they sign off. Anyway, so this little bit of universe that got stuck to their ship is expanding. So, like, we gotta get this back to the Gamma Quadrant where it belongs.
Why?
In spite of you,
Why does it
Kira,
belong
you
in the Gamma
asshole.
Quadrant?
No, I don't know. It was in subspace, right?
Yeah,
I
they
don't
had
know.
to deposit it back into the subspace of the
Oh,
wormhole.
okay.
Which I literally had never bothered to question what subspace was until today. And Chris was like, it's magic. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it. I was
accurate.
like, okay, but... And he's like, no, it's just magic. And I was like, but... He's like, you've heard of it before. I'm like, have I?
It's
okay,
where,
I have.
It's
but...
where Odo shunts bits of him when he's transformed
It's
into other things.
exactly what Chris said.
It's why they can communicate
I
across
knew,
vast
and that's the thing. I knew
distances.
about subspace communication, but I'd never bothered to question it because communication is boring and fucking universes stuck between layers of the real world is weird. So anyway, they go to drop it off. And they start hitting weird pockets of energy, and it starts to fuck up the wormhole. It's never been a problem before, but there's a piece of universe stuck to their ship, and Arjun, as it turns out, is like a level 69 pilot, and
Nice.
Dax is only thank you, Ames. And Dax is only a 3, so he needs to get them out. And he's like, but we only have like 3 million miles. And she was like, it's fine, you have plenty of room to fuck around. And he gets them out, and he's a hero, I guess. And at the end, Jadzia Dax is just kind of like, I guess I'm not gonna flunk you. I'm not Curzon Dax. That's the Enterprise. That's not the right theme, and I don't care.
Speaking of lots of room to fuck around, Jadzia totally plowed that wrestling coach.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, we walk in, and
Oh,
she's
yeah.
like, yeah, you should try wrestling with him. I'll hook you up with his digits.
You should try not being early all the time, you twerp.
True.
Always comes too soon. Oh.
So, we already saw what happens when someone with a weak personality takes on a symbiont.
Oh, yeah, that asshole.
What would happen with this guy? Because he has no person, like not even a weak there is nothing.
I think he would literally just be like, he would implode. He would just suck himself up into, and he'd be
Yeah,
gone. That would be
the
it.
Trill would just pop right back out again and crawl away.
Unless it was the Dax symbiont, in which case it would just be like, fuck it, and he would have a boner 24/7. Because it would just be the Dax libido leading the way.
Unfettered Dax sounds like a really scary thing.
Unfettered Dax is probably a criminal. Like a sex criminal.
Unfettered Dax is probably a weird Star Trek porn parody.
I am not Googling that, but you're probably right.
Nice.
So, I love that, at first they've got
Wait,
this...
actually love or sarcastically love?
Sarcastically.
Okay.
They got this Babby universe, and at first they're like...
Little Babby universe.
They're just like, that's weird. Like, oh, figure out what to do with it. Then it's like, later it's like, oh shit, there might be life And Sisko's like, damn, I must decide. No one is like, this is kind of gone beyond the scope of one dude. Maybe you should call headquarters?
Yeah, or like scientists or...
Anyone?
Data. Call Data. Data
Like,
can handle it.
This is now, like, way beyond your pay grade. Like, don't try to make this decision on your own.
True.
But he was just like, no, I must look significantly out the window while I contemplate.
How does one look significantly?
You just go back, watch the clip.
He's Avery Brooks.
He found a way.
Well, I mean, you said this, Caitlin. But, like, that whole...
No, I didn't. We didn't discuss this before we got here at all.
We did a little because you had no idea what was going on.
I didn't understand the plot of this one because I was so fucking bored I think I stopped paying attention.
This episode has so much stuff in it that just doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, like the whole universe subplot.
Shocking. Well, the universe subplot doesn't even come into play until, like, the 25-minute mark.
Yeah, they,
if it's even that fucking early. It seems like they just were like, oh shit, nothing happened to this episode and it's really boring.
Yeah, it was really shoehorned in.
I blame Michael Piller because apparently the original story, the proto-universe, was the A-plot.
Yeah.
Was the most of the plot until Michael Piller comes in and says, we should really talk about the Dax and the Trill and this other guy and do that.
I mean, should we...
And the writer Jim Trombetta thinks the episode suffered for it. And I would be like, yeah, because it really shelved the whole proto-universe thing, which should have been much more interesting and significant.
Yeah, Jim Trumpeter's right.
Yeah. And I mean, like, there's interesting things you could have done with the proto-universe.
So much!
Oh, yeah. Like, all what it's conveying, like, it's conveying that there is another universe right here within this universe, and if it keeps expanding, it will take over this universe. And we never really
take a really long time, though, wouldn't it? I mean, isn't our universe also always expanding? So,
but theirs seems to be existing at a different speed of time than ours. Because at first they're like, it's a proto-universe, and then they're like, oh shit, there's life. And they were like, that quickly? And they're like, well, maybe time's moving at a different pace in that universe.
Yeah, maybe billions of years have passed for them, but, a couple minutes have passed for us, and they're doing all this other stuff.
Well, what's so fucking good about this universe?
Yeah, they never really make clear what the implications of what this universe is, except that, if it stays here, it will destroy us. But that's it.
I don't even know if they were saying it would destroy the entire universe. I think it was just like...
Just destroy the station?
The area. Or like, I think Bajor. Like, it would just...
Oh, in that case, fine.
Yeah.
Bajor's terrible.
Yeah,
get rid of
Bajor.
I know. Bajor. Fucking most useless planet in the galaxy.
So for me, the stakes were also a little like low because it wasn't even necessarily like...
I thought it was the universe. Now I care even less.
I didn't get that.
Like I said, I didn't understand it until you explained it to me, so I have no fucking idea.
And it's, the whole episode is just so all over the place. Oh yeah, and there's a Jake subplot.
There is.
Why did he tell O'Brien he's fucking a Dabo girl?
And why did O'Brien not tell his dad?
Because O'Brien's
a good guy.
O'Brien follows what I believe they call the bro code.
I was going to say the bro code?
I think that's a thing still.
O'Brien had been trying to get with that Dabo girl for weeks.
Bro Brian.
Yeah.
So doesn't Sisko ask, how old is this girl? And he does not get an answer.
Yeah, no, but once he figures out which one it is, he's suddenly chill with it. So maybe she is actually close to Jake's age.
She can't come over.
No, she's got to be at least like 18.
No, why does she? We don't know what the rules are in Bajor.
Sometime in season 3, I think we meet her.
Do we?
I think we do.
Yeah.
Or we at least hear from her again. But she continues being Jake's, tail.
Yeah, I am wondering if Jake is actually dating her, or if Jake just kind of like... Because Jake is like, what, 14?
15? 14, 15?
I think they said he just turned 15.
He's a kid.
That's
so
he
might think that there's a relationship there when there's not.
Yeah, that I would totally buy. Like, he really is just tutoring her, but he's just, in his mind, it's so much... he's misinterpreting everything, every little,
Everything is super serious when you're in high school, so that's
yes.
totally possible.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you look at your phone and be like, oh my god, you texted me a smiley face. What do I text you?
Do you not love me?
Oh my god, what does it mean?
But it's just weird because it's played so straight. It doesn't. I don't think there's any evidence to support at all that Jake just thinks that there's a relationship, because it's always just very flat. How it's like, oh, I'm kind of dating this girl.
Yeah, we happen to like bugs together.
Yeah.
Into some weird shit, Jake Sisko.
It's a little strange. Yeah, I forgot about that. That was fun. And he also was like, yeah, she can come over dinner, but not right now because we're in the middle of a crisis.
Yeah.
Not right now. The
Not today.
general area of space might be ending.
But I thought that was very nice and very open-minded of Captain Sisko. I continue to really like Sisko.
Yeah.
I really like this show. I'm a big fan of this show. It's like my favorite,
It's
honestly.
a good show. They do a lot of really fun stuff. I
This
mean, like,
episode,
this
on the
is...
other hand,
Yeah.
It's like, but even for a weaker episode, there's still little
There's
things
some
that
good
are
stuff.
interesting.
Quark,
And-
always a player.
Yeah. I loved when O'Brien showed Quark the sonic gun.
Oh,
And so he was like, "Yeah, no, this will drive him out of wherever they go." And he like puts it on and like passes it over.
what a fucking
Passes
asshole.
over
Yes.
Quark, and Quark like started screaming.
Poor Quark.
he's temporarily deafened.
You could see that coming a mile away,
I
too.
know.
Where they're like, oh, yes, here's some sound things.
You know what the
Quark
worst
in
part
the
is?
background.
I didn't.
Really?
I also
It didn't
didn't.
even occur to me. Like, of course he's got crazy good hearing. Look
Yeah.
at those ears.
That's what happened the very, very first time we ever met Ferengi in that horrible, horrible TNG episode.
See, I try not to think about it.
Oh, it's so bad.
But yeah, you got to think about that though. It's like, Chief's like, oh yeah, this will be fine. It's like, meanwhile, like, it's a good thing Quark was there because then he installs all these things. Then all your Vulcans just start collapsing. Like, who else might have really good hearing?
I mean, given the way that Star Trek likes to introduce new interesting characteristics to species whenever it's convenient, literally anyone.
Yeah.
How many eyelids do they have?
Thousands.
So many.
Turns out
Which
Bajorans.
aliens can't be electrocuted this week?
Bajorans have really good hearing because what we think of as their ears aren't actually their ears. Those are just cosmetic. They listen to the slits in their nose and they're very sensitive.
What the fuck is wrong?
Feels
with you, Chris?
racist somehow. Doesn't it? Like, oh yeah, the Bajor, who, the Cardassians? Did you say?
Bajorans.
The Bajorans, like, hear through their smell holes and smell through their hear holes.
Actually, Cardassians do have very elaborate external ears, so they probably have good hearing too.
Fair enough.
Hot. I wrote down, welp, Sisko will let the proto-universe destroy the station just so Jake doesn't date Marta. And then I also wrote, when Jake, the comment that Jake made about Marta was, she's a woman, not a girl. And I'm like, yikes,
yeah.
Jake. Yikes.
Well, I think what I like the follow-up was like, she doesn't like being called a girl, so that makes you wonder, like, okay, so how old is she? Because
8.
Old enough to want to be called a girl. Yeah, it's all very strange.
it is.
Jake Sisko, you weird bastard.
Kinky bastard.
You weird bug fucking weirdo. Anyway.
She's not a bug. They're just studying etymology
I know.
together.
We were joking. I think Ames said earlier something about the bugs and kinky and shit. So I was building on something we had already been mentioned.
It's fair.
Yeah,
It's
it's a thing that they do in comedy, which clearly you would not understand.
That is true.
No, I'm just kidding. That's not very nice. I'm sorry.
So we learned something more about Jadzia this episode, at least, which is that she almost didn't qualify to be a host.
It sounds like she was actually pretty boring before she was Dax.
I buy that. She seems like she's such a science nerd.
I buy that.
Yeah.
She's pretty boring now.
That's true. I mean, honestly, like, the stuff we've seen her do this episode, where, she hangs out with the Ferengi and gambles with them, which we've seen before, which is very cute.
Yep.
Because she gets along with Quark so well, which I love.
You can't leave. You just won.
I loved that.
What I liked in that scene too is like as she's leaving, one of the random Ferengis goes, "Phoebe!"
No, that was Quark.
I thought it was
that him?
Quark.
That
Yeah.
was
Oh, okay.
Quark. Yeah. Yeah.
But he also kind of said it with a smile on his face, so I forgave him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He knows what he is. He knows exactly what he is.
Oh yeah.
Females.
And we see Jadzia as a, wrestle bang partner, which I'm into.
Yeah.
So, did I ever tell you the story about the time when I was in high school and we were watching...
Where's this gonna go?
You'll find out. Schindler's List. And there's a scene...
Not at all where I thought this was gonna go.
And there's a scene where Schindler and someone else are, like, fucking. And it was my world studies class. World studies was like one history teacher, one English teacher, and they split off, and it was...
I had that program too.
Yeah, so you know. But so my history teacher, I think it was Mr. Joyce. It was Mr. Joyce. Jumped in front of the TV and was like, "Don't worry, children. They're just wrestling." That's where it came from.
How old were you all at this point?
I don't know, like 10th or 11th grade.
Oh my god!
It was
what a
great.
fucking idiot!
It was great. No, I love Mr. Joyce. Don't you dare. Don't you dare make fun of Mr. Joyce.
I mean, unless he
Anyway.
knew and was just being a dad joke or
No,
something.
he was clearly I think he knew they were having sex, Chris. I don't think that was the point.
No, I mean, he knew you
You
knew.
knew the kids knew.
Oh, I have no idea. That I don't know. I can't help you there.
Like, I'd like to think he would understand that
I don't know. I don't think he had any kids.
he was just
Who
like,
knows?
I know I can't show you this scene. I'm gonna try to
I
make a
hope
joke
your
out
parents definitely did not sign any consent forms to watch this shit. But anyway, her wrestle bang partner.
Yeah. We're seeing all these elements of Jadzia that we haven't really seen stuff of yet.
of it. Yeah.
That kind of finally start making her a character.
I was gonna say, it's
Yeah.
like they made her interesting in this episode just so they could show you how boring this other guy was.
Oh my god, and his voice is just so fucking lame.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. The
Every time he
minute-
talked, I'm like, oh my god, no, please stop.
I like the minute he spoke, like, well, already hate you.
Yeah, he sucked.
I think you're supposed to
Yeah.
kind of dislike him, and then kind of have to confront the fact that like Jadzia is being kind of a jerk to this guy.
No,
She
I don't
wasn't,
think she
though.
wasn't. I think she was
That's-
being totally nice. She was being more forgiving than she really should have been.
Well, at one point
there
she was
was
like,
that Trill fight where she just basically says, you know you suck, right? You're gonna suck at this.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that because I'm not Curzon. Thanks for telling us. We wouldn't have known. And then he yells at her saying, "You're really mean.
You're a
Yeah.
bitch.
And you're like,
she
yeah.
was being real nasty.
She wasn't. She was being honest.
She
When
was-
women are
I
being
think- I
honest, it
think
doesn't
she-
mean. Ooh.
I
I would
I
have
think she was going over.
No, I
'cause
think-
she was, well, so she had the discussion with Cisco
Yeah.
about what Curzon would do, and then she went and did what Curzon would do.
Yeah, she kind of let the
But that's
Curzon
which-
out.
It doesn't mean that Curzon's wrong just because he wasn't
Curzon-
always nice.
Curzon was a piece of crap. He was awful to like everybody.
But I mean, here's the thing. You've got this kid who basically has admitted, I am doing this because I am haunted by the ghost of my father. It's like, you shouldn't be doing this.
No, there are way.
You
That is
clearly-
the worst reason to do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then you just fail him, like, and you don't make him like treat him like crap over it.
She
Be
didn't. She was
super
giving him
dismissive.
She was giving him a dose of reality that he needed because he spent his whole life just kind of getting through and getting passing grades, but having no passion and
Yeah.
no plan.
If all
honestly, it reminded me of me.
If all she did was fail him,
Yeah.
he would consider himself a failure. If she instead explains,
This
or
is
you
why
should do
you
something
suck.
better with your life than this.
Yeah.
Like, even if I fail you, even if I pass you, your life is what you fucking make of it, not what your dead father would have wanted,
Yeah.
that he's not even here to check up on you anymore.
Yeah, I think she was just honest. I mean, I think that she was really blunt, but I don't think she was mean. I think she was just being like, wake up, fuckface, you've got your whole life ahead of you, and it sort of sounds like you're not even really passionate about this.
Yeah, how about
and
you
this
go
is
be a
such a
pilot? You're
special
good at
thing
that.
that you should be really into it and have a plan.
Yeah.
But I think that what the problem seems to be with, like, from what little we know of this whole program, it's set up very poorly. It's like, people spend their whole lives, you know, from the age of God knows what to, like, maybe 20-something, sitting around, being very studious and boring and uptight, and then they go get told, you haven't lived enough to have a Trill. It's like, tell them ahead of time!
Yeah.
Tell them ahead of time to get the stick out of their ass, like, when they're 10, you know? Like, go fuck up a little
Yeah.
first.
And you also, like, I'm sure you never know when you're going to actually get your Trill.
Yeah, no.
Like, they said...
Well, yeah,
how
it really
did,
just depends on when someone
how
dies,
how
right?
did Jadzia know she was going to be Dax? She says because she requested the Dax symbiont when Curzon was dying. And I'm like, that can't always happen. How long do you have to know before someone's about to die? Sometimes 0 seconds. Sometimes, whoops, they just keeled over after choking on a shrimp.
Yeah.
I want that
That's how I
symbiote,
want to
please.
go. Oh, I mean...
Yeah, no, I'm sure hell, there's probably been like, oh, I mean, look, we saw it with TNG.
Oh, yeah, with that guy.
Where it was like, oh, fuck,
Crusher's friend.
we
Yeah.
don't even have a Trill here. Someone hold it for a minute.
Here, Riker, you wanted to plow Beverly at some point,
Yeah.
right?
So, I mean, and
Yeah,
all
that's
they
right. I forgot about that aspect of that
yeah,
episode.
That was a weird fucking episode.
and like they retconned a lot of how the Trill work from that, but still, that is a non-zero chance that event could happen. You know, it's just like, Fred croaked and he was the only Trill on the ship.
I mean, hell, looking at the two of them, they go into the wormhole and they're doing the whole, let's drive around these gigantic fucking mines that should have been really fucking easy to drive around, but alright, sure, whatever. They could both have gotten killed. The Dax symbiont would have gone fucking nowhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Straight to hell.
Yep.
That's where it would have gone.
Blow up in a proto-universe. Like you do. I don't get it. I don't understand.
It was a weird cluster jam of an episode.
I really didn't care for it.
No, it was lousy, I thought.
It just, you needed sharp focus on one of the two plots. Preferably the proto-universe one.
No, let's just sneak that in at the end. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see saying, like, okay, let's work on the Trill some more. Because we keep failing at doing Jadzia's fucking character every time we try to do a Jadzia episode. I think so far all of the Jadzia episodes have been some of my least favorite episodes so far. And because they just keep being like, let's make it more convoluted and less about what the hell we think it's going to be about.
It's almost like, maybe just one more shot. Maybe, again, they can nail it sooner than later.
Next week.
Yes, foreshadowing.
Whoa. The Klingon chef was back.
He
And he was singing
That
a
was
song.
great.
Yeah.
He
And
was
I'm,
singing
She
the song.
taught me that.
I loved that.
yeah,
That was cute.
I'm so sad that he doesn't show up anymore. I
No.
think this is it. I think this is the end for Klingon
I
chef.
just want, every time they show a Klingon who isn't a warrior, it's like, I want to know more about these people.
Yeah. No.
There are... What's great is he's got a fucking accordion, but there's still, like, Klingon spikes on it.
Yeah.
He could still, if he needed, like, lock it shut and beat someone to death with it. Or it's also his meat tenderizer.
Could be both.
Yeah, poor
All of the above.
All three. Weapon, meat tenderizer, squeeze box.
Yeah, I want to hear, like, the chef's battle stories about, like,
Right?
the time someone, like, undercooked or probably overcooked something, and he had to, like, avenge his honor and, like, murder the chef, and that's how he got his restaurant.
I feel like, they probably still have these crazy stories because they have to, like, I'm willing to bet the best ones, like, get their own food. But, of course, most of their food is still alive. So it's like, and even, even with the ones that they maybe do slaughter first, they keep them alive until they cook them, as we find out in some random episode at some point. So it's like, oh, no. I didn't just kill a Targ. I had to capture it alive and store it in my back room until someone ordered a Targ burger.
Poor
Like,
Tard.
Yeah.
They've got some crazy stories, Klingon chefs.
Yeah. No, I would love to just see those experiences because it's always the warriors, but it is
Yeah.
fun when they show people who aren't warriors but they still have warrior attitude.
Yeah,
about what they're passionate about.
Yeah, like that's a good way to put it. You just feel like whatever they're into, they are into it with that level of gusto. Klingon accountants, man, they.
Ooh.
They get really mad when you.
Wow.
I don't even know what when you violate tax code.
Yeah.
Like I don't
You
have.
have no honor.
I don't like.
You bring shame upon your family.
I really though.
You need to submit your W-2.
Oh, I love it. I'm delighted right now.
Like I just picture the calculators again, with just extraneous spikes on them.
Doesn't say clear, it says kill.
Yeah. The fucking the ink is actually blood drawn from the accountant's own veins.
It's hardcore, man.
How can you tell what's a positive, what's a negative? It's all red. I know in my heart.
Oh.
Oh, Chris cracked himself up.
Plech CPA.
Because I'm tight.
One scene I really enjoyed. It was when Cisco shows up to talk to Jake. I think Cisco just got off early or something, like off of work.
Oh, I thought you meant just got off.
No,
I was
no,
like, how could
no,
you,
no.
how could you? Pray tell. How could you
His
tell?
face was flushed.
Oh, thanks.
No, so Cisco just like shows up kind of out of the blue, and I think Jake's like, "Oh, you're home early," and then immediately spills the beans about like the secret of him like dating like a Dabo girl.
Well, that's because
He
Cisco
thought
was like,
it-
"Oh, O'Brien, I'm talking with O'Brien." He's like,
Oh,
"Oh
that's
no,
right. Yeah,
oh
yeah.
no, O'Brien told you, didn't he?"
But O'Brien didn't tell.
No, because
Yeah.
O'Brien's a good dude.
Right. Yeah, no, but I do love that, like, it's like very, very innocently. It's like, oh, I was talking to Miles, and then Jake is just like, I'm sorry, Dad, and spills every bad thing he's done.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
and Cisco's like reaction to that just being like, oh,
Really, in a way,
there's something I need to know.
Well, it kind of worked out, though, because I feel like because he'd already, like, had that big outburst, like, the actual thing, you know, Cisco just took it even better than he would have. So, that's all. That's fucking fine. Rule of acquisition 112, never have sex with the boss's sister.
Yeah.
That's Caitlin's line.
I forgot that was this
That's true.
episode.
No, that was good.
Which
that
rule number was it? That was the one
112.
thing I didn't get the rule
No,
number.
that's
I
next
just
episode.
wrote down the rule.
Yeah, that was my Quark, always a player, smiley face note.
Yeah, I couldn't...
Fucking hot.
Yeah, I forgot that was this one. That's... Oh, Quark, always thinking with the wrong lobe.
Gross.
I mean,
Yeah.
not really. Not very often.
Well... Many loves of Quark.
Yeah. This is also the week of Odo standing up for alternate life forms.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like, oh yeah, let the hollow people be people. Oh, let these potential people in a universe be potential people in a universe.
on ants.
I like that they used a transporter to move an entire galaxy.
Yeah.
Because
Entire
universe, excuse me.
That is a lot of data.
Yeah, so no, they didn't do that.
Nope.
Or if they did, they killed everybody.
Whoops.
I think it would have been funnier. I don't know why, but just to see like O'Brien wearing like just literally silver oven mitts, just kind of like awkwardly carrying it,
Yeah, like a hazmat suit or something.
Yeah,
Like it just came out of the oven.
Yeah.
like a fresh potato.
Yikes.
I don't know why.
Because Chris and because Miles.
Fair, I guess. Well, you guys stopped talking for more than 2 seconds, so I'm gonna go ahead and call this the end.
Good, I'm done.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised we talked as much as we did about the second episode, but that's also because I kind of forgot some of it.
There's lots of little stuff.
There's a lot of little
just really
details.
didn't like it.
Yeah.
No, it did not assemble together very well.
No, agreed.
Well, next week, hopefully we have better episodes.
What are they?
There are Profit and Loss and Blood Oath.
Not to be confused with Profit and Lace, which is a very, very different episode.
That also sounds like porn.
That one's much more porn.
Oh, good. If you like what you heard and you'd like to hear more, you can follow A Star to Steer Her By on a lot of different fucking places. Holy shit. You can find us on... I haven't done this. It's been like a month. For you, nothing has happened. No time really has transpired and passed. But haven't seen each other for like a month of
That's
to
true.
do this show.
We've been very busy and or sick.
Ames has been very busy.
Well,
Ames is a fucking awesome rock star that you'll never really understand because you don't know her, but she's great.
Oh,
You're welcome. So, but anyway, let's try this again. If you like what you heard and you'd like to hear more, A Star to Steer Her By can be found where all fine podcasts are sold. We are on SoundCloud, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. You can also find us and give us a follow on Facebook by searching A Star to Steer Her By. You can follow us on Twitter and Tumblr. We are at SSHB Podcast, or you can go to sshbpodcast.com and check out our sweet website. But as a parenthetical, it's really just our Tumblr. Thank you for joining us. As always, I have been Caitlin.
This has been Chris.
I'm a fucking rock star.
I'm James and/or Jake.
Yeah.
Mostly James.
No, poor Jake. Jake will hopefully feel better by the time this episode
Rule
goes
of
live.
Acquisition 265. James is not Jake.
Weirdly specific.
But he was great, so thanks for being here, James.
Yay!
And we'll see you next week.